And so our lead this hour comes from the Wishing Well. We're going to call it the Wishing Well. Now, what is this all about? An old nemesis has returned to Sports Talk Radio. Colin Kaepernick. Yes, that's right. He's back. Well, he's not actually back, but his name is back in the sporting news. And if you have been out of the loop here and maybe you missed it, you got things going on in your life. Almost 5 years ago, he played his last NFL game, but Colin Kaepernick wants you to know that he is still training feverishly. And he has the hope of returning to the NFL in a pandering interview done with Ebony Magazine titled Undeniable, Unstoppable. Colin Kaepernick said that he is up at 5 a.m. training 5 to 6 days a week. He said, making sure I am prepared to take a team to the Super Bowl again. Close quote. Colin Kaepernick. So let us discuss the question. Keep it simple. It's Sports Talk Radio. It's not that hard. What do you make of Colin Kaepernick's quote here that he is getting up 5 to 6 days a week at 5 in the morning preparing for an NFL return? So my observation, you've got cheesy romance novel, Murderer's Row, and Doppelganger. And we will combine all of these things together now. Number one. So, as a skeptic, as a skeptical human being, this is likely not true, right? But let's approach it for the purposes of this MALLER monologue, at least at the beginning here. You and I will play make-believe. We will pretend, at least for a second, we will push aside our skeptical beliefs, and we will pretend that this quote is authentic, that it's an actual quote from the heart. So taking it at face value, if it is true, and again, we'll give the benefit of the doubt to the story, then Kaepernick looks like a sad, pathetic man, right? Because you get him 5, 6 days a week at 5 in the morning, you're going to lead a team to the Super Bowl. What is he, living a cheesy romance novel as a life? Whether you agree or disagree with what happened, it happened, right? It was an abusive relationship. We'll call it like this, an abusive relationship. He was dumped by the NFL, and yet here is Colin Kaepernick, based on this quote, who is not over his lost love of football. Still dreaming about returning to the NFL, gets jealous when he thinks about the NFL. Can imagine his life back playing football. Likely has all his old NFL stuff around the house there. And he's online reading about the NFL. He's got very intense feelings about pro football. And Kaepernick, as again the story implies here, supposedly dreaming of returning to the gridiron. At least that's what the quote says. Now, second thing here, I have a sneaking suspicion that Colin Kaepernick did say what he's attributed to saying, but he's spewing this because his return to the NFL, or saying he wants to come back to the NFL, is good for his brand. It's good for business. It's not sincere, I don't believe, but now that we've already approached it originally, like, there's something to this, let's take it at face value. So I am in the incredulous camp on this one, and I will now provide a skeptical eye for the gullible guy. So let me make my elevator pitch as to why this smells like bullcrap. All right, now Kaepernick has been very good at monetizing his situation, right? Playing the victim football, the powers that be at the NFL, and the NFL's got some messed up things going on there as well, but Kaepernick has done a fine job. He's built a murderer's row of big companies, like Fortune 500 type companies that are part of his portfolio. He inked a book deal for just over $1 million with a big publishing arm, Random House. Netflix, does it get any bigger than Netflix? Inked a big deal. In fact, I think that's why Kaepernick, I believe that's why he did this interview, to promote one of the Netflix programs. Also, there's the side hustle with Disney for buco bucks as well. He's also kept the Nike endorsement money coming in. even though he hasn't been a football player in 5 years, these business deals are based on the fact that Colin Kaepernick was not allowed to play in the NFL, but he wanted to play in the NFL, and he's been, his football career, he's been oppressed from playing in the NFL. So in order to keep the charade going, you have to continue to say, oh, yeah, I want to come back and play. I'm getting ready. I'm getting out there before the sun comes up, and I'm running around, and I'm ready to play. Right? It's the same thinking back in 2019, November of 2019, before the world shut down, when the NFL had set up a workout. Remember this? And a workout in Atlanta for Colin Kaepernick, and they had representatives from all 32 teams that were invited to attend. And at the very last second, right, 11th hour, but really more than that, like the last second of the last hour, Kaepernick backed out. You can look it up. I'm not making it up. On the day of the workout, he opted not to take part, and he claimed he had some fugazi excuse about why he didn't want to do it. He didn't trust the NFL or this, that, and the other thing. And so the working theory is if he had worked out and not looked good from all those NFL scouts, that would have hurt the story, right? If the story is Kaepernick wants to play, he worked out and didn't look good, that's why he's not playing, well, that ruins the story. But by not working out in front of the scouts, then you can keep that alive. And here we are at another point in the story where the Kaepernick persona, he's got some Netflix thing that's out now, some other things that he's been working on there. And so you got to keep your name out there. Get your name, get a little promotion. Idiots like me start talking about us. But again, I mean, what do I know? I'm just the overnight guy here at FSR. Now, final point. So in a world that is not dependent on being the victim, you would say if you wanted a job and no one would hire you at that job, you had the job but nobody wanted you anymore, and all of the businesses in that sector said, we don't want you, that what most people would advise that person to do is move on. You evolve, you grow, you find something else to do, and you don't hang on to that. But this is something that I think we can all agree on, right? If you're trying to get a job and the job's not there, even if you had the job before, there's a great big world out there, right? Kaepernick has rarely been seen or heard, despite all these big companies that have given him a lot of money to endorse or be partner with their products, and he continues to be a firebrand. Right? The mere mention of Kaepernick's name ignites raw emotion. Right? Proponents treat Colin Kaepernick like an archangel. They protect him like a child, a false god, a deity. Now, the opposite camp believes that he is just an opportunistic, revolutionary troublemaker, and his 15 minutes of fame are up. But whatever side of the aisle you happen to fall on, the fact that Kaepernick is still being quoted as saying that he thinks that the NFL door is going to open up, again, I think it's not authentic. I think he is using this because he wants to have that as the message, because then the money keeps coming in. But if he is being real again, not healthy, right? And there are multiple reasons. The man sued the NFL, took hush money to go away in undisclosed settlement. Now, we don't know how much money Kaepernick got. There are some that say he got a lot of money. There's other people that say he got pennies on the dollar by the time he ended up having to pay the attorneys, the billable hours, and all that. But just from a pure football standpoint, Kaepernick is 33 years old. His birthday is in early November. He's about to turn 34. So he's past his athletic primes. What about Tom Brady? Yeah, that's the unicorn. That's the exception to the rule, which does not negate the rule. And if he's not doing this because of ulterior motives, Kaepernick, then I have to say that he's got a doppelganger. His doppelganger is Al Bundy. That's his alter ego, right? Cut from the same cloth, Polk High School legend, glory days. Remember Al Bundy, the great Fox character from back in the day? Ed O'Neill, born loser, constantly lamenting his lot in life and all that. Man, 5 a.m. Maybe he just wants to be in like Mr. Universe or something like that. If you work out 5 or 6 days a week and you're lifting weights and all that, and you're not a professional athlete, which Kaepernick is not. He's not a professional athlete at this point. You should enter some strongman competitions. You can make money doing that. There's money to be made.